There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to last week's minutes? If not, I'll make a motion that we sign them approved as read.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
I'll make a motion we pay the claims in the amount of $659,921.55.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the claims in the amount of $659,921.55. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And I just passed over the copy of the contract for the counselor.
Did everybody get a chance to review that?
I did.
I did too. So what do we need here?
So what I had prepared, if this works for you, is just a motion to hire Mark Hagan as the county counselor and to sign his employment contract.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we hire Mark Hagan as our county counselor at $175 an hour for each hour billed with no benefits. And that's my motion.
okay.
Do you want to include signing the contract?
And
And I
just
think it's kind of a
And
given.
allow the chair to sign the contract.
allow Jason, then the chair, to sign the contract.
Okay, I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Mark Hagan as our county counselor in the amount of $175 per billable hour with no benefits, and allow the chair to sign the contract. Is there any discussion?
I just want to thank Burton for stepping in and the time that he did and help us and being here when we needed him. And, you know, from what I know, he did a good job, and I want to thank Burton. So that's all I had to say about it.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And just a reminder, I sent out the notice of special meeting last week for tonight's training at 6 o'clock with Mr. Kopp.
Okay.
Is it 6 to 9?
Yeah.
6 to 9 tonight.
Allow Mark to come up then.
Yes.
Mark, would you please join us up here?
David, do I give him this to review, or how do we do that?
Well, I did send it out. I didn't know if Burton was going to be here to start the meeting or not, so I still had Burton's name on there. But now that Mark's officially hired, I don't think it would hurt anything for him to be the one to sign off on it if he's comfortable with that,
So these are
on the bills.
our claims.
I may want to strike his name out and put mine in, but other
Yeah.
than that, I did review them and
And I'll get that changed on the printouts before the next pay, so your name will be on
him
it.
to introduce himself or talk, or you good? Would you want to?
Mark, do you want to introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are a little bit?
thank you. It's a privilege to be invited to be part of the Board of County Commissioners here in Linn County. I'm looking forward to working with each of the department heads. I met several of them today, and I know you got some challenges and some opportunities, and I hope I can be a meaningful contributor to both. And look forward to working with both the commissioners individually and as a group and with the department heads. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mark.
Is Mark going to get a computer, I guess, too?
I don't know how we work all that out. I mean, we had one that Gary was using, which Chris got back from him, so probably.
Yes, you will be.
Okay.
Okay. All right, sheriff's report for April 22nd. Total prisoners in of 59, 12 releases this past week. 0 farmed out, total farmed in of 45, 911 calls of 91, jail contacts 4,280, calls for service 544, civil service papers served 11, bin inspections 3, 10 new cases opened, 11 cases closed, 7 vehicle crashes, 102 calls for service for the SROs, bailiff contacts 135 with 43 resulting in calls for service, livestock out of 15. Randy had sent us saying he wasn't going to be in today. So the fire department weekly call summary, 10 calls, 2 for fire, 1 for rescue emergency medical service incident, 2 hazardous condition, no fire, 4 service calls, and 1 good intent call. That was the call summary for the week. AMR, Don? Morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning. I'm Don Brooks with AMR, and I've got the month-to-date reporting for the ambulance service. Blue Mound has had 10 calls with 3 transports. Centerville has had 2 calls with 0 transports. Lacine has 18 calls and 11 transports. Linn Valley, 4 calls, 2 transports. Mountain City, 20 calls, 3 transports. Parker, 1 call, 1 transport. Pleasanton, 14 calls, 11 transports. Prescott, 7 calls, 5 transports, for a total of 76 calls and 36 transports, and 2 transports by helicopter so far.
Okay. Questions for Don?
I don't know.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Have a spreadsheet and then invoices behind it there. This presidential preference primary we had last month is the state is required to reimburse us for direct costs associated with that election. So I've gone through all the invoices, and that's what I have come up with for a total to bill the state. They're also requiring the commission to certify that invoice before I can send it in. So I have signature lines there for all of you on that cover page so that I can get that sent in. We should get back, it was a little over $12,050.49 for the cost of that election. There are a few things that they will not pay that they don't consider direct costs. One of them is like election night. We always have food for the board workers when they come in. They won't cover that. They won't cover my staff's time, but additional people that I had to hire and come in and all that is covered, and then all the programming. So
Okay.
if you got any questions about what I've got on there, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Are there any questions for David?
I don't have any.
I don't either. I reviewed the receipts.
So if you guys are comfortable with that, I think we should probably have a motion to certify and sign the direct election cost invoice in the amount of $12,050.49 for reimbursement from the state of Kansas for the presidential preference primary.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to turn in the paperwork for the reimbursement to the state of Kansas for the presidential preference primary. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
So I will get that sent in this afternoon, and then they are supposed to send a check to Janet to deposit back into our general fund to cover those costs.
Okay. Janet?
Thank you.
I've got it right here.
I've got it pulled up.
Do you want me to read all of these?
Yeah.
Janet Cleveno, Linn County Treasurer.
Last year in the banking accounts, we had 1,597,108.36. This year we have 2,395,124.70. Interest earned last year was 898. Interest earned this year was 9,723.44. In CDs, we had 18,579,840.07. This year, we have 19,633,548.43. The interest for last year was 336,671. The interest for this year is 181,932.99, and that's all for the first quarter. Okay, any
Great.
questions?
Well,
Okay. I also would like to bring up the automatic ADA door for the courthouse on the back door. We have quite a few handicaps that come in, motor vehicle, and it is hard for them to get in.
Sean, we talked about this. Are you still looking into that, or?
I got the original bids, but had trouble getting any other contract bids outside CDL. I think we originally bid it for, or asked for pricing for it and the old district court, which made the price just around $9,000 to $10,000.
Got it.
And I think you and I had talked about seeing if we could use the old jail, the door opener on the jail, right? But you said you didn't think it would work. Was that you and I talking about that?
Also, there's a dip right in front of that door that really needs fixed because their wheelchair hits it, and we had one guy tip toward the stairs. So I think this is necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the dip she's talking about. There's some concrete that's worn away there, and it makes a pretty substantial dip in it.
What do we need to do about the dip?
who can you get to take a look at that sidewalk?
Sorry.
That whole stair needs redone.
The way that it's sectioned off is the staircase coming up looks to be one pour or one project, and the ramp connection to it. So if we do that, there are several spots on those stairs. We're probably going to have to look at bidding the concrete for that stair casing and the landing at the top, all in one piece.
Okay.
Because I believe there's a hole draining off of the landing that's going out the side. It's got several chips on it on the stairwell going down that have been patched in the past. Done. But I don't know a lot about concrete, but I think we want to bid the whole thing in one shot.
Okay.
So I'd like us to go ahead and get this company hired so we can get this done.
How many bids did we get on this?
Just the one.
Just the
Needed
one?
to get one person to come up, take a look at it, and bid the project. I couldn't find any other interested parties. Made several contacts, but no one called me back on the project.
But this price is for two door openers, right? Not just one, correct?
That's correct.
Do you want to take care of this now or when? Yeah.
I'd like to see it move forward.
So do we still need the second door?
At this point, I would say no, because I believe they're looking at which way they want to funnel traffic into that building. So I don't think now is an appropriate time for that second doorway until they figure out how they want to move traffic through the building. It doesn't make sense to put a door opener and then funnel people the other direction. So I think that's half the project we should just completely hold off on at this point.
And
We
we,
have the same bid on splitting it if two, this is for two, right?
That's correct.
And you're saying we just need one right now?
That's correct.
I doubt they're going to agree to the same price. I mean, they'll have remobilization and stuff like that, so it'll probably be a little more expensive, I'd say.
Right, but what I'm saying, will they come here for half price here is what I'm
I
saying.
doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't.
Well,
Saying.
I think there's going to be a little less cost on this doorway because the other doorway, there was a fabrication cost for a frame piece to go into the brick molding to hold the opener. So this doorway should be less than half of that bill because
So are
the
they,
other doorway was going to be a little bit more in fabrication.
do we for sure need that one that you're talking about?
The other building, not at this point.
I know, but eventually are we going to need it? I mean,
I would leave that to the managers or the supervisors in the building once we get to that point and how they wanted to handle it. They could use a call button to inside. There's several other things that we could do to that building that aren't really feasible for this one.
so you won't, there, I mean, it's not really broke up per door. So, I mean, you're going to have to go back to CDL and ask them to only do one door?
That's correct.
And we have the money in courthouse.
Yeah. I actually have some money put away in the equipment reserve fund that was designated for courthouse and special building projects that we could use if we need to.
Okay.
You think you'll have that quote next week?
Sorry.
You think you'll have that quote next week for just the one door?
I by the end of the week, I can have a number, I can have a solid
Fine.
number by the end of the week.
Will that work? We,
Is that good
we
enough
get
for- the quote?
Yeah.
the quote and
We don't
approve the
mind
quote.
getting up and helping them, but I just think we need the ADA.
I understand, Janet.
Any other questions for me?
I can
Well,
stop.
we do that, and you guys want to look at what the concrete does to fix it?
I'll go over there and assess the concrete and work with Sean with some companies that I know and getting in contact with them.
That would be a large help just to know how much the project needs bid and contacts to call out to.
Okay. Thank you, Janet. Okay, Chris? IT?
Good morning, Chris Martin, Linn County IT Director. I'm coming back from our conversation 2 weeks ago on the policy for the notification. You guys got the email that I sent out. Nobody responded, so I think, to me, that means they were good with it.
Okay.
Are you okay with proceeding?
I'm good with it
And
if we've given it 2 weeks. We've got a new email. You can explain it to our council if you want.
it's a notification system that the general public can sign up for and receive email or text messages from various departments regarding meetings or events or things like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm good with moving forward.
So do we need a motion to approve the policy for the notification system?
Mark's saying yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the policy for the notifications as what was presented 2 weeks ago.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the policy for the public notification system. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The other part, I guess, last week we spent quite a bit of time over at the old judicial building, helping them move in. Everything's good inside. I think the staff seemed like they were happy. There's some more equipment we're going to do this week. And I still have, you'll see there's blue wires hanging out the outside of the building. I got some cameras to mount up out there with the expected good weather this week. I hope to have that done as well. And then today I'll be out most of the day possibly, but we're doing storm siren work for 3 of the cities to maintain and change some radio frequencies on their storm sirens. So we'll be getting that tested with dispatch today.
Are we done with everything in there besides what you got, or? I guess we can talk about it later. I just wondered.
From IT, yes. Okay.
Hey, Chris, on this door opener, it says that the owner must provide power to an outlet close to the doors. Do you know anything about that? I mean, is that
So-
something?
It could be, I guess it depends on how we get it down. There is a room beneath that porch area, and right outside that room is a breaker panel. I believe there's still a 120 breaker slot left open on it. It's pretty full. But getting, power up there nearby, I don't know what nearby is. If it needs to
Right.
be in the hallway next to the door or something, there may be an outlet there now. I didn't know that, but I didn't look at it either.
Sean, is that something we need to look into so that they're not have to go back to them and try to figure that out once we get this bid for this?
I believe it's going to have to be an electrician brought in and stuff within that top corner where the mechanism is.
Oh, is that where they like?
Within 6 to 12 inches of that top corner.
So that's something
There'll probably be some surface raceway then because of that hollow aluminum tube, if it's got to be up there at the top. But we probably need to look at their submittal as well to determine where they're going to want the push buttons to be. So all that gets coordinated. We don't want to put raceway where their push button is supposed to go.
So are we going to deal with all that so we can move forward with it? No, okay.
We need to make sure what we got what we need before we get the door right.
We don't even have the bid yet. Maybe we could ask for clarification on what we're gonna need when we're getting the bid. Does that sound good, Sean?
I'll make sure they spell it out. What they want. And we'll all try to reach out and get a cost on the electric.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you.
Was just looking at my spreadsheet on the equipment reserve fund, on money that had been set aside for courthouse, I've still got 35,000 in there, and then I also had special building with another 27,000. So there is money available in that fund, which is a non-budgeted fund if we need to use it out of there.
Okay. Jessica? Sean?
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. Apologize, I was out late last week and was unable to email you an agenda. Sorry. One of our new mowers, of the two that we hired, started today. We'll be working with the seasonal mowers. I know the North Shop has also got at least one of the two mowers, seasonal mowers out. So that process has started in both sides of the county. And we expect to be, for the first time since I've been here, fully staffed with our seasonal mowers this year. So we expect that to be a lot different than what we've seen in the past, than the struggles we've seen trying to get the mowing done in both areas. Had a concern or interest in opening the Pleasanton shop for the purpose of supervision, and had some discussion on that. I believe we've come up with a resolution to that, placing both operators, grader operators, under the supervision of Todd, as well as one asphalt employee and the mechanic assigned to that shop, leaving Todd with a area that does not distinctly match any district or commission lines, but leaving Todd with an area of supervision over two greater areas, which would also give him the ability to install culverts in that area, take roadway complaints, and tree down any other concerned signage and whatnot in that area. And I believe if you need to see a map of it, we've got it available, but I believe that it answers the questions we've been asked or that makes a good resolution to the situation and a doable one for this point. I can have one brought out, rather large.
Is that what you're looking for, Daniel?
that's not what I had.
But I mean, from the opening of moving the grader operators under Todd. Okay. Jim, do you have an issue with doing that?
I would like to go look into, just have one road boss myself over the old, like put a leadman in each shop. Utilize their equipment better.
Where you'd want me to set that, but as you can see, there's a highlighted area inside the district area over on your lower right. And those are the two greater areas that we're talking about. So it would be a smaller portion of a larger commission district, but not matching those boundary lines.
Well, and this would not preclude us from doing anything that way, Jim, would it? If we went ahead and made this change for now?
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna.
I mean, and that's why, because I was talked to them, some of the road foremans, and that's kind of how we came up with this, and where they came up with it, and they just presented it and threw in some ideas. So they did. I think that it was an amazing job. They put a lot of effort into it, and I appreciate it. It made sense to me what they proposed, and Todd's already a foreman, so and all his equipment's over at Pleasanton anyway, so
Working out of that shop.
it just made sense to me.
So do we need a motion to move the grader operators under Todd?
That would create a new supervision area, which we would then in Pub Works outline, and have a all district area, near Pleasanton, for that supervision.
Okay.
I'll make that motion. Now, what would the description on the motion be, David? What are you writing up?
Give me just a second.
So how will it be with the track hose and different things to go to that area? Who will be in charge of that then?
I think that's where the foremans will just have to communicate with each other and get a schedule and figure it out from there.
So what I had so far, and feel free to change that however you need, was just motion to transfer 2 of the grader operators.
The others are under his supervision now, but yes, it'd be 2 grader operators and creating, a district in
What will we do with the dump truck operators and things then? Will they be? I don't know. I think we're just setting ourselves up for more confusion is what I think.
Are they here? Do they want to speak on it?
Good morning, Commissioners. Todd Mueller, Asphalt Division. What questions do you guys have?
Is how will we do on the gravel and the different situations there? Who's going to be calling the shots there?
When it comes to anything that the area would need, I've already talked to both Denny and Jesse, and they said that it's upon my request of whatever we need. So if rock needs hauled, it would be done as if I was pretty much in charge of it. It would come from their budget for right now because of the way everything is set up. So it would run as is. The graders would be able to call and say, we need rock. They'd get their trucks from whatever shop was available. I do have a truck there at Pleasanton that if we ever have to have multiple haul, we have the ability to. That way, it's not
That
just,
truck being utilized now, does anybody use it?
yeah, I use it all the time. We just got done using it over on the Scott Road project for cleaning up brush. I use it for my tanker when I'm doing asphalt. It's what I use to haul my water tank. We use it for gravel. I use it for coal patch if we're doing coal patching that way. So it's a multi-purpose truck for us. That way we don't just have it as sitting any extended amount of time.
Do we have a trailer we can pull with the rock trucks, the dump trucks that'll haul the mini excavators?
No, I do have a tilt deck trailer, but mine's not rated to haul that much weight. It's
Haul the one, the small excavators.
it won't haul a small excavator. It'll haul backhoe. I can haul my steel wheel rollers on it, things of that nature. It's a 20-ton trailer. So
Excavators.
I think they're 28 or something like that.
Is that the panel hitch equipment trailer?
Yeah.
You said the small excavator weighs 28 ton.
I think that's what they were telling me, is that it weighs 28 or it's something like that. But also my length isn't long enough to have the neck or the boom of the excavator with the way they're designed to be tucked underneath, because I don't have enough surface deck for it. We tried to do that and it's not enough for it. My trailer's just not quite heavy. It's an old state trailer.
Oh, what's that rated? 30 ton, you said?
No, it's 20.
20 ton.
Yeah. And it is set up for any county truck that needs to use it for any kind of equipment moving like that. We have it set up for all of it because it's, since our trucks are state spec'd, that trailer is also state spec'd. So it's set up for hydraulic and air and all that. Any trucks that have the glide hands and hydraulic lines and everything. So
Didn't we just purchase one here off Purple Way a few years ago for the whistles? The culverts, no? Did we talk about that?
We talked about one out of the north shop.
The North Shop, yeah.
We never purchased one.
Oh, no, okay.
mine was purchased when Jackie was still here. And it needed some repairs when we first got it, but we've got all those taken care of. So
Okay.
I just think that the way that that's being presented right now just shows it accountability. So I can turn to Todd and ask him, hey, what's going on over here? I don't have to go to Sean, and Sean go find one of the other foremans. And I asked him, how big of a hassle is it to run all the way over to the Pleasant, or east of Pleasanton and look at a project? Well, if they're out here in City, I'll run all the way over there. That's a 2-hour deal, so it just makes sense to me. So that's why.
and when it comes to any major projects, we've always worked together to try to get anything done. So if we need the excavator or anything like that, it's not a problem getting a piece of equipment from one of the other shops into the area to do the project. And if we've ever needed assistance, even with asphalt, I've been able to turn to any road foreman I've ever had to deal with, and they're more than willing to step in and help wherever it's needed. Same vice versa. If they need help from me, all they do is got to ask me and I go out and help them. That way we're all in this together. It's all Linn County. It doesn't matter who does what, as long as we're getting the job done.
Sounds good.
So what I had, if this works for you, is a motion to transfer 2 of the grader operators to report to Todd Mueller in the Pleasanton shop and to create a road maintenance district in that area in the pub works system.
Okay. That's your motion.
That's my motion.
I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to move the 2 grader operators under Todd and create a district out of the Pleasanton area for Public Works. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Last Thursday, Jessica and I met in Topeka with the other representatives for Lake Region. After the meeting, we toured a HHW facility out there and learned quite a bit about the handling of household hazardous waste. And we'll be reviewing our policies and procedures on that as well. We also talked about grant opportunities, but those I think we're going to have to continue to look at what funding not only is available, but when we want to use that funding. As a segue to that, Call Valley has sent a proposal to me for the solid waste project, and they are willing to meet with you. I need to know how you would like to do that, whether you need to schedule that under legal, or because the proposal is not an open bid per se, or competitive bid because they are our on-call contractor for engineering. They're making a proposal, but would be willing if we opened it for bid to bid against other competitors for the project. So I don't know how you would like to proceed with that.
I think first I'd like to talk to Caw Valley and find out what's on their mind and what kind of proposals they're doing that might be in variance with whatever their on-call status is right now.
I can send both the on-call contract and the proposal to you so that you can review those. The only concern with opening it publicly as a bid, because it's not a competitive bid, it's their pricing and a contractual agreement.
Yes.
So if we choose not to do that, they don't want to be eliminated from the process.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll ship that over to you as soon as that's available.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
I have asphalt bids to open. I only have 2 this morning. And we'd ask that we open, read those, and give them back so we can qualify those with Todd before making any recommendations.
This one's from Kilo Construction for 5.5 miles. $689,152.95. Huh? $689,152.95. 5.5 miles.
Okay. I have Bettis Asphalt and Construction, 5.5 miles, 24 foot wide, 1.5 inch overlay, for $607,695. And it says the unit price is tied to the KDOT Asphalt Price Adjusting Index and KDOT Special Provisions.
Okay. That was Wall Street.
Yes, that's the second half of the Wall Street project.
Okay.
Thank you. Sherry's made contact. As I said, I was out the back half of the week. She's found an online reservation service for the cabins, but I need to get with Chris to see how that would interface with the campsites before I bring anything to you for a proposal. I have a lagoon project report for you. That project, as far as A1, the pump jet or dredging company, their part of the project has been completed from all communications with our local farmer. He was pleased with the outcome. The project summary lists 190 loads of materials out of 3 cells, 3,600 cubic yards of material. Based on their estimation, that was covering approximately 16 acres worth of farm ground. The other percentages are basically things that I would use to report to the state. But as I said, all parties seemed pleased, and we came in before the tillage started, or tilling of that cropland. So I believe we're in good shape there, and everything went well. And now we begin our part of the project. Having said that, I was supposed to meet with Kansas Rural Water tomorrow and the foremans at that site. Kansas Rural Water is unable to meet with me until Friday, so we are going to move that back to this Friday, meet with them, and try to determine the logistics of the rest of the project so that we complete our half of it without interfering with the permitting of that lagoon project, and we stay within compliance. I'll report back after that meeting and tell you what I found out.
I got a question, Sean. On the
Sure.
reservation for the cabins, what's she trying to do there?
She found an online service. Now I need to get with Chris to find out if it could integrate with the camping. The problem we had with the kiosk, there was no interface. There's no way to make the two talk to each other. So now the research that she's done, I've got to take over to Chris and say, hey, can this work on the back end? Will these things talk to each other, and is it doable?
I mean, my opinion, a start on that would be to get them all on like Airbnb or VR, BO, whatever it's called. Because right now we only have like 1 or 2 on there, right?
I believe 1 to 2.
And I mean, and they do I don't know what the cost is for them to do it, but I know that they have their own calendar and they block it off if it's rented out. And I mean, that's been my fight the entire time on that. I've never understood why we didn't have all the cabins on there.
Do we want to take the cabins individually away from that? My understanding was we were trying to find one system to work campsites, cabins.
I mean, yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. But,
And that's the difficulty in finding one system to do all that, because they have to interface with what we currently have, or have to be a total system of its standalone to operate. But if you'd like, I can give you the numbers and I can come back next week and you can tell me if you'd all like to move those cabins over to an Airbnb type scheduling, or I will have to check to make sure. Right now, we're losing our cabin cleaner. So I need to check with Sherry to make sure that we've got a prospect and people to interview for that position. But I think before we do it, we need to have that new cabin cleaner on board, because it will, Airbnb is my understanding, it will take a lot more manpower to get those things ready to go.
I mean, but with that comes, the income from the rentals. Another question I had was the permanent people we have out there that stay out there. I thought at one time we talked about we weren't supposed to have like permanent, or not a permanent dwelling, but like sheds and stuff like that, or skirts around the campers and RVs. Is that not, do we not talk?
Skirting is a seasonal requirement for the heat and to keep the water in. We never had a regulation on it, other than I think the color. It couldn't be pink foam board, in a white camper. It had to be painted to match and neutral. The sheds, other than the grandfathered people that were there, who then paid a deposit in case we had to remove the shed if they left it on the property, We have no new sheds unless they meet the requirements that you all approved, which was an 8x10 portable that could be picked up and moved at any time, and they had to put a deposit in for that as well and have it approved.
I got a lot of thoughts on that, but we can do that another day.
Well, and that's just what, when the park rules got changed, and I can't remember when that was, it was a year or two ago, that was what was approved, and it minimized and restricted, and they had to show a purpose for that 8x10 and put a deposit and get that approved before placing it. And I think that also restricted decks and other things that could be added on to any campers or other.
I just feel like that if we do go to the online reservation stuff, that the area that they're in is the most sought after area in the entire lake. And it's essentially a trailer park that we're competing with other businesses right down the road from the park. I'm not, I know their income, I get that, but I just don't think we have them in the right place. That's my opinion on it.
I think what's limiting changing that area is the solid waste, because we are very limited on how many sites we're available to push up to that lagoon. And if you have someone that is a full-time or a long-term stay, the solid waste concerns and, pulling and setting the camper back up is not as feasible for them as it is weekend campers. So I think our limitations on solid waste is, I think, part of the issue there.
Okay.
Next, I had Johnny coming in from last week to report on the UTV pricing and what he found out.
Good morning, Commissioners. So last week, I spoke on the purpose and use of the UTV set up as a spray rig, and then you guys asked me to get some more trailer quotes, and I think we got a spreadsheet that was sent out to you that had some more trailer quotes. And also, Jim asked me to speak to, which I was very happy I did, because I thought I got a lot of good information from John Deere and that representative. Brandon Phillips, his name, and he was very helpful and gave me some good ideas and some information on the John Deere Gators. And I didn't know if you guys, first of all, had any questions from what got sent to you. He did have a lease program that basically is like a lease to purchase. My understanding or first thought when I thought of a lease program, it'd be like we would pay for however many years to lease the equipment and then have to give it back. And if there were overage on hours, we'd have penalties and certain things like that. But as it turned out, the lease program that he presented, that he actually said that he had to go to corporate and get a special situation for this, that they didn't do it a lot. A lot of the farmers that they do some lease options with are bigger tractors, combines, tractor mower combinations and stuff like that, but not so much the UTV. A lot of times they buy those outright, but he said that it is catching on to be a pretty popular thing in government entities and municipalities. And so that John Deere was already looking into it, and because he had a need, they wrote this up special, this purchase agreement, lease purchase agreement. And the numbers were sent to you. One of the other things that was brought out to me, I'll be frank and honest, when I first got quotes, I knew it's not easy to convince anybody to have to spend our money on new equipment. So I went bare bones when I got UTV quotes. And by that, I mean no roof, no doors, no anything, just bare bones for those quotes. One of the things that was pointed out and I gave some thought to is the quotes for the enclosed UTVs is something that I added to this, because actually Brandon brought that out. He asked if we had any PPE concerns. Since we're doing spraying, he said all the farmers that he sold these to, if they're using it primarily for spraying as we are, he said that they almost always use an enclosure so they're not exposed to the chemicals on their skin, breathing it and so on. And so that was something that I thought, and obviously you need to get your all's thoughts, but The upgraded price was considerable to purchase the one with the enclosure and the HVAC, because if you're going to be an enclosure and windows up and so on, you're going to need air conditioning because we spray in the summer. So the cost for one of those, to buy it outright, as you've seen on the spreadsheet, went from 18,000 to 30,000. But with the lease program that we had, I believe for that one, it would be an annual payment on a 48-month lease program, the annual payment would be $83.5726. And so instead of spending the initial, sticker shock 20-some thousand or close to $20,000, if we wanted to do this program on this lease option, after 4 years, could purchase that machine for $1. And also during this time, that price includes the Power Guard, is what they call it, manufacturer warranty and program. One of the things he brought out to my attention to give thought to was, if we purchase outright, say the lowest bid was one of the Frontenac Power Sports machines, we go down and purchase that outright. Once it's ours, it's ours. Any problem we have, if it breaks down, we're gonna have to haul it ourselves to get it repaired and so on. He said all these that are on the lease purchase program, if we were to have a failure, they literally would come to the field and pick it up where it's at if we wanted. I mean, like if, say it was dead, we couldn't start it. They'll come out and get it. They'll bring one for us to use while they're repairing that one. It's going to be all John Deere warranted parts and certified mechanics working on it, all during this lease. Also, he pointed out that while it's on the lease program, that John Deere will insure that machine. And so I don't know if that's a savings to the county or not, or how that would work out. Someone above my pay grade may know better about that, but he did point out that that's something else to think about, that during the 48 months that we're leasing it, it is insured by John Deere, and that is for their protection, but also a benefit for us.
So Polaris has like I think it's called the Ride Command or something. I can't remember what it is, but I got it on mine, and it has a map. It's for like people that ride together, and it tells you how many miles you've, drove the machine. Does John Deere have anything like that? Would that help you? I mean, with this big, huge model price tag one, does it have do you know if it has that map on it that it will kind of track your whereabouts and all that?
I don't know that for sure, but that's something I could check with. That wasn't a point that we
I don't
across,
think that's a huge matter. It was just.
Well, a lot of times, and that is a good point, and that would be a good feature to have. Although we do have an app on our phone that we use. Like if I was out spraying with that rig, I use an app that we have called Quick Capture that Pam Cannon has, and so we can map where we do spray anyway. But that still would be a good feature. But anyway, after pointing out some of those features, if we did an outright purchase of the UTV, the spray rig, and the trailer, I think I gave you the figures last week, the bare bones figure. I did want to remind that if we go that route instead of the lease option, and you were to okay that, to ask for a little bit of a cushion, because the prices and quotes I was given from everybody that I talked to, it's like that the quote was good for that day, especially UTVs. This is UTV season. Their inventory changes every week. The only way that they would give me a hardcore price and stick to it, and I could go back and buy it with your approval, was if we did a purchase agreement that day that I spoke to them, which I'm not able to do because it's not approved to buy it. So anyway, what I was getting at is that maybe a cushion of say $25,000 for everything, and if I was over that, I'd have to come to you guys and let you know why, or if you could, or whatever, or to do this lease program. That would be something that I would go back with Brandon Phillips from John Deere and talk to him about and say that you guys did or did not give me approval. If we did, then he could further go through this with us and do all that to get us taken care of on that. But did you guys have any questions at all, or anything I didn't touch on, or concerns that you have?
You have a special equipment budget in your department, right? I mean,
Right. In our capital outlay right now, I think we're 57,000 over and a little bit more than that. I can't remember the exact amount.
57,528.41.
Thank you, Dave.
And just a comment to go with that, a lease purchase, basically you're going to be taking on some debt to do that. And we used to do a lot of those, and we worked hard to get rid of all the debt before we put the Justice Center in. So just keep that in mind. If you go with a lease purchase, you are adding some debt back to the county that we hadn't had in several years.
What I was wondering, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Johnny, on the spreadsheet, the $25,000 Polaris, 24,798, is that an enclosed one?
Yes. Yes, that was one of the late, and I tried to get some more, and actually, some of the other ones, I had a hard time. Polaris was one of the few outside of the Gator that I could get an actual enclosed quote for. Like Kawasaki, I never was able to get one. They said that they don't, even the Mule that's a more of a farm used UTV, they didn't have an option for the enclosed. But yes, to answer your question, yes, that was a quote for an enclosed. And that was supposed to be a quote with the enclosed. I need to look at that quote to make sure that, because sometimes he said, I'm pretty sure with the enclosed always included what they call the HVAC, which is because they know anybody that's going to get an enclosure, you're going to want heat and air.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no purpose to have the enclosure.
Well, I think like we're right in the middle of spray season right now. You know, it's starting. I would like to see us wait and look through the winter, because then we'd have more months to decide what we was going to do. Right now, we're right here, and it's going to be taken away. I don't think we've researched it enough to really know what we do want.
Okay.
Is the way I feel, Johnny. And I think we got all winter.
Right. Well, I respect that. Just to answer, so you know how I feel about it. I respect that thought. The only thought I have is we're just putting off for another year something. Like if I were able to get it, actual broadcast spray of our roadsides or rights of way isn't going to start until sometime in May. April, it's either raining too much or it's too windy.
April's about over.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and even on into May. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm not trying to debate or argue with you about it. I'm just telling you that our broadcast spray really starts in May. In other words, I felt like we had time, and that's why I spent the time that I did over the last 2 weeks in researching this stuff and getting a lot of quotes so that we could actually have it for this spray
I think
season.
we could have had a lot more time throughout the winter months to get this taken care of instead of just dropping it in our lap right now, is what I think. But
I respect that. Like I said, I just had another thought that I would get it now so that I could use it this spray season, not put something off to another year. But again, it's whatever you guys decide.
Was this, I mean, I can't remember, was it a thought on your budget? I mean, did we talk about it at your last?
Yes, actually, well, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, so you guys encouraged Sean late last year to meet with all the department heads and to instead of all of us just coming in at the last moment and going, hey, we need all this and I got all this stuff and the big purchases and so on, for us him to meet with all the department heads and kind of put an idea of a 3 to 5 year program. And after the first of the year, Sean did meet with me, and that was one of the number one equipment purchases. I was given a very good, I got to start out, whoever before me, I think in 2020, that purchased the 2019 Ford F-350 and the brand new spray system that it has. I got to start out really good with that. I don't have a lot of maintenance that I'm going to have to do to that really soon. So I didn't have a lot of other equipment purchases I was going to have to do in the very immediate future. But especially after last year when I was pointed out by one of the residents, and not just one, I had several that had the same kind of issues, either at the parks or next to their land where we had areas I couldn't get to with our truck. I mean, I got a very good truck, but it's not good for going off-road and inclines with a 400-gallon tank on it. So it's obviously not made for some of the places that we need to spray. And that's why it's not a frivolous thing. I'm not coming to you to try to get a toy I get to play with on the weekend. This is something I just want to use to better the department.
Okay. So I see it here on your 3 to 5 year equipment plan as something that you had for 2024. Which, okay, you talked about personal safety and everything that way. What are you recommending to us as far as the machine that you've researched that you would like to go with?
If it was the outright purchase, then either the Gator with the enclosure or the Polaris. The Polaris obviously is considerably less expensive. It also has a 1-year warranty, and again, it's the warranties that they have, I didn't get information on yet. I was explained to by the John Deere dealer. Obviously, he's a salesman, so I take that into consideration too. But he wanted to point out that Heritage Tractor, for years used to be a distributor and dealer for Polaris. But they found that in farm use and everyday use, oil fields, farms, and so on, the Polaris didn't hold up. He said that they couldn't keep enough belts in stock to work on them and so on. So they decided that Polaris, in their mind, was more of a recreational, even though the Ranger is sold with a bed on it and so on and can be used that way, it just didn't stand up to every day, and especially compared to the model that they put out, the Gator. I mean, as you all know, if you've ever used them, people ain't out riding Gators for fun. Those are farm use equipment, and that's kind of what we're going to be using it for. We could make do with the Polaris. I just like to I worked construction most of my life, and anyone that worked in construction knows you don't buy homeowner tools and go out and do jobs because it won't last. So you get commercial grade equipment to use. So my ultimate suggestion would be the lease program, unless, like I said, I hadn't given any thought to what Dave brought up about the county taking on debt, if that was something. I looked at it as initial spending would be less, and I could budget each year until it was paid off, and then we still own the machine and have equity in it, that if use it until we felt that it either needs replaced and we could sell it and get something out of it, or continue using it.
Now, how are you you got a hand boom on this thing, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has the spray rig itself has a 38-foot broadcast spray nozzles in the back. It's got 3 nozzles, one that'll shoot directly down and then 2 that go out this way. And so when you're doing broadcast spraying, you're driving along, you want to spray that. And it also has, I think it's a 50-foot hose reel with a commercial grade handgun on it
So
too.
how will you use the air conditioning machine, I guess, with the hand boom with your?
Well, obviously you can't. I mean, if you go out and hand spray around your yard, you can't use air conditioning, but
That's
so.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, but when you're broadcast spraying, you would be, an enclosure would keep you, just like in my truck. I mean, when I'm spraying broadcast spray, we don't put the windows down. I mean, we protect ourselves from being contaminated by the spray by having the windows up and the air conditioning on. That's when they're broadcast spraying. But yes, if we handgun spray with my truck or with this unit, yeah, we're gonna have to get out and you're gonna have to wear long sleeves and mask if you feel the need, and glasses, and that's what we do with the truck also. That's what we'll be doing this afternoon when I do bare ground spraying with it.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about there's only a $200 difference in the spray rigs. Do you guys want to?
The spray rig, I don't know if you remember from last week, I already know the one that I want to go. Not always do I feel the less expensive is the best, but in this case, that's the one I wanted to go with because that's the company that built the spray rig for our truck. And so it had compatible plumbing if we had to take something off or something there. So this, it had compatible, and the familiarity. That's the one thing he pointed out. And it had upgraded spray nozzles on the back. The ones that he upgrades it to are the same spray nozzles we use on our truck. So we're familiar with them when we may have extras, because those do get worn out sometimes or need some maintenance. And actually the handgun was upgraded to a commercial handgun and not the other one. Like, say for instance, if you've ever used a hand pump sprayer and the little plastic squeeze deal, that's the kind of nozzle the other one came with. He upgrades it to a professional one, just like on our truck.
So this one's $3,836.10.
Yes.
And then it looks like you got another trailer.
Yes, the trailer that I liked the best, I can't remember if it was the least expensive, but Big Tech's Trailer World, and I'll admit I used to work for Big Tech, so I know a lot about the trailers they have. But that trailer that they had is a 10-foot, 2315. It's a little less expensive because it's a 2023 model. If it's still there when I'm able to purchase it. I mean, like I said, it was inventory that's for sale. But they are a pipe top construction instead of angle iron. It makes them a much more sturdy, and they don't flex, and long term they last better. And they have a spring assisted ramp that on there that the others didn't necessarily have. So I just happen to be very familiar with the Big Tech Trailer World equipment. In fact, I think when I worked there, Danny bought a trailer for me. So I was familiar with their equipment, and that was one of them that I liked the best.
And which one is that? Is that the 27?
23. The difference in those, okay,
Oh, okay.
So I need to confirm, since I haven't bought the UTV yet, You want to confirm the length on those before you buy, because the less expensive of the, like I said, the big techs is the 10-foot. The other one's a 12-foot. The one thing, I guess, if you spent a little more and got the 12-foot, it may be a little bit more if we use the trailer for other things. Maybe we had to go pick up other equipment or chemicals or something. We'd have a trailer at our use that's 2 foot bigger, and for sure going to be big enough. But again, I went for the 10-foot should get most UTVs, but some of them, if they have a little bit longer wheelbase, or maybe with the added that spray rig sticks out a little bit. In fact, the tailgate has to be down the whole time the spray rig is in there. So that added a little bit. I wasn't positive on if a 10-foot is going to be good enough or I need to go to the 12-foot. So that's the difference in those prices.
Which is not very much, right?
Right, it's not that much actually. And like I said, he did point out that 2023 at Big Tech's, that's only if that one was still available. He said if it's a 2024 model, it'll be a little bit more expensive than the 2315 because it'll be a new stock item.
What do you think on the ATVs, Danny? You've got more experience with them than I do.
I mean, I think Polaris, I run mine like, I have a General though, but you're right about the belts, so them things are, if you don't.
Well, and you have
Right,
to remember when I'm using it, it's going to have 1,000 pounds of weight in the back.
Yeah.
Every time we're using it, when it's loaded with chemicals and water. The unit doesn't weigh that much. That's the added with the water. But yeah, that's the problem he pointed out, that he said that he even told me, if you get a Polaris, he said, don't ever take it out of low when you're spraying with 1,000 pounds of weight in there, you'll burn the belt up.
So, I mean, I was in favor of the lease program until David had mentioned about the debt. David, what's that gonna?
I mean, it's not going to be anything that would have a big effect on us, but you are going to have some finance charges as you go through there. So overall, you're spending more money for the purchase through a lease purchase. Now, how much that would offset on maintenance or guarantees and warranties, I don't know.
But so this lease program is based on how many hours we use it, correct?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, it's just a lease purchase, and you can actually get a cheaper payment if you don't want to purchase it at the end. If it's going to be your lease, you're not leasing to own it. Then you have an option to buy it. I think if you did the 36 month with option to buy at the end, you have a purchase option at the end of the 36 months of $78.29.88. So after 3 years, you could buy it from them if you want to own it for that much, or you could just turn it back over to them.
I think that's something we'd probably want to have Mark take a look at too, though, but I don't know that we could get into an agreement like that without it being a lease purchase. I was thinking for a county, that's the way you had to go.
Okay.
So that may cut out a cheaper lease option.
I liked the option of the 48 and purchase it for $1. I mean, to be honest with you, I would assume that we're going to put. When I told him anywhere between 200 and 400 hours a year for those 4 years, he said that when we were at the 4-year point, he said that literally we'd have so low hours on it that if we wanted to trade it back in, or if we wanted to continue using it, we're still going to have a good machine, or we're also going to have built up good equity. He said after 4 years, it'd still be they would probably give us a $20,000 trade in, toward another one. He said that, but because he can move those pretty easy. The John Deere hold their value a lot better, he said, than the recreational UTVs. He said they're pretty much, people do like you said you do, Danny, and then they're not worth anything.
What do you think about the lease?
I agree with David that we're going to have some additional finance charges. It's all in. Do we think having that extra protection, them bringing us out another machine if we have an issue, is going to be worth that extra cost? I'm always in favor of buying things outright.
And I think as little as we're going to use it. I mean, what do you project the hours on it? It's not going to be over 500 hours a year.
Without having one to use yet, I gave him an estimation of 200 to 400, 400 on the high end, 200 on the low end. I mean, obviously this isn't something that's replacing our truck. It's just, there's places that we can use it that we can't get to, and we'll use it. But I don't know an exact, that's just a guess off the top of my head.
Danny, we already have the money sitting in equipment reserve, so it's not like it's something that we haven't already taxed the people for. Or something that way, I guess, in my mind, we could use that to purchase it outright. I think it comes down to which one we prefer, which one Johnny prefers. Because there is a cost difference there.
So if you were to purchase outright for the Gator, we're looking at what? You control it.
What would you gentlemen think about if you picked a cap that you're comfortable?
175.58.
What was it 30,000 what?
175.58.
And then
And the Polaris was 24,798. So
the
and
entire,
those are the enclosed.
so you're looking at like right around like what, 36, 37,000 for the entire setup?
If we went with the enclosed, yes.
And you have 56 in your
57.
budget?
55,
55?
5. 55, 528, 41.
Was it the purchase of that new truck here 4 years ago or whatever? Was that the last time that the department purchased anything big ticket item?
Yeah, that was the last. This will be my third spray season. No equipment's been purchased.
I know we asked you to kind of go bare bones and help us, so I would be in favor of moving forward with buying it outright and getting the spray rig and a trailer and moving forward with it.
Would you gentlemen feel comfortable with setting like a cap from your calculations there, and then I can go and get hard numbers and come back to you for final approval or purchase, or would we move forward on that?
You're thinking the enclosure?
I think so, yeah.
I do too. From just spraying myself and things that way. Are you thinking the John Deere or the?
I think John Deere, just from what I know about them, and the rough terrain you're going to be using them on and what you're going to be doing with the weight. I have a Polaris and the beds aren't, it's good for what I do, but not to hold a 1,000-gallon tank of water.
Well, and just to add to the conversation, Commissioners, with David's assistance last year, we moved money over into the noxious weed fund, and we were able to purchase chemicals this year, and we are ahead of the grade curve in purchasing chemicals this year with last year's budget. So we are ahead in the budget. Not only as John and Carl brought the program up, but they've kept it in financially responsible position as far as what we've been able to spend on their materials and commodities.
So with the 23,
Not to exceed 37.
yeah, I mean, that's with the $2,300 trailer, which is the pipe
Yes.
heavier duty one, right?
Yes.
With your spray rig and the 30,175 Gator, it's like you're at $36,326. Is that's quoted by those numbers? But I'd be in favor of doing like a not to exceed 37,000.
Okay.
Okay. That motion?
I'll make a motion that we allow Johnny to purchase a side-by-side, a spray rig and a trailer for the noxious weed off-road spraying and not to exceed $37,000.
I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to allow the noxious weed department to purchase a side-by-side spray rig and trailer not to exceed $37,000. Is there any discussion?
I think that's way too high myself to spend for that.
If this passes and, you move, and it moves forward, I'd like you to bring it in and show so we can let everybody see it.
You bet.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 2-1.
Thank you, sirs. You got any more questions?
Thank you, Johnny.
We've got about 12, 13 minutes left till we're scheduled to go into an executive and make a call to another attorney on that. So,
Okay.
I think I can be done in 5 or less. Appraisers and GIS moved into their new building last week. To answer the question from earlier, yes, we have a punch list. We're talking ceiling tiles, wall trim, board, things like that.
Painted and everything.
Yes. So we're talking about some minor punch list stuff that we can get done. But I did talk to the department heads over there and told them that our focus will be Pleasanton as a priority until we get that building opened up. So they assured me that they'll be very patient with us trying to get those punch list things knocked out. The last thing I had for you was our new transportation bus. Joyce told me the dealer parts are finally in, and we've been told they will be installed and we will getting scheduled time for delivery here shortly. So hopefully we will have our new bus in before the heat comes on and we have all the AC and breakdown problems we had with our old bus last year. As you remember, this is going to be a van type bus, a smaller unit. So comfort, fuel cost, and things should adjust with this when we transport a small number of people.
I have a question on the senior center. Do you know where we're at on, and we had set a budget on what we were going to spend on that. Do you know where we're at on it?
I'll have to pull the numbers up, but we're within it, but I can't tell you exactly what the numbers are because like even today, I got some tickets in my box, but I'll have to pull the numbers.
Have we got any for sure word on who's helping us do it when they can get back in there? I mean, or where are we at on that? I get ate up by phone calls by.
And I've met with the seniors as well and spoke to them last week before I left. We were focused on that building, so I didn't get a lot of contact with that building or the updates all last week. But as soon as we finish up the few items in the kitchen area, I believe we're ready to ask Stars to go in and do the flooring. They've already done some leveling of the floor leveler in the building to prep for that. Basically, we tidy up a few things, get out of their way, and let them do the floor. Once they do the floor, it's on us. I do have to resolve the issue of the north door. Randy's been trying to assist us as far as getting a non-fire rated door because it's on the outside, so it doesn't need fire rating. Trying to keep the cost down on that. But I will report the numbers and everything to you next week and get you a solid answer on that.
As far as the registration with Ottawa or whatever, where do we, I mean, I know I've asked about it, but where are we at on that? I don't want that to hold it up.
That shouldn't hold us up. What we do is we open the facility and they go for the licensing just like they did. The temporary license was being applied for or finished up less than a month ago for the building they're in. So I don't believe the licensing or anything is going to slow us down, but I will get with Randy as far as the occupancy. That is the only thing that I believe may slow us down at all, but I don't think so.
Okay.
But now that I've got that other building taken care of, and by the way, the moving company, between their estimate of what they originally thought it would take and what we were actually charged, they were within $200 of their hour limit. So they didn't go, but I think $175 over their original estimate with all that stuff coming down those stairs. So they guessed it pretty close. We do have some painting on the stairs. Obviously, there was large, heavy file cabinets and desk on those two-wheel dollies, but I checked the stairwells and everything. There's no wood damage. It's just paint from the rails sliding with that heavy dolly, and I think we came out really good in that move. And I know not only does the department, but the Public Works guys really appreciated the fact that they weren't tasked with something that, quite frankly, isn't in their normal job description, and those stairs were a challenge. I was very glad that no one got injured and no damage was done.
Okay.
Commissioners, that's all I had for you, unless you have any other questions for me.
You know, is there, I mean, do you think you can get for sure answers on dates from who's helping us and things like that? Because if so, I mean, what do we make off that building that we sold? 56,000? I'm almost in favor of trying to throw around the idea of using some of that money that we had sold that building for to get this done, because they've been waiting too long. It's been going on way too long. I just want to get it done. They deserve to be in there. They're in a church right now, and we just got to get them taken.
I don't know that I can promise you solid answers, but what I will get you is detailed answers to make a decision with.
Okay.
I will pull out all the details as much as I possibly can. And like I said, now that we're in a holding pattern and got them over there, my attention will be turned towards that building.
I agree with you, Danny, that it has taken too long for us to get in there.
Yep.
So. Okay, thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open it up for public comment. A citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Discussion is limited to 5 minutes, and the commission will not take action at this time. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items for a later time or date. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. How long is this executive session?
Well, originally, when I talked to Forrest, we were talking about possibly up to half an hour. Unless something has changed from a message he sent me earlier this morning, it may not take quite that long. He's, I think, still waiting on the other party to sign off on part of it, but he can explain all that when we get in there.
Okay. So 30 minutes. Beginning at 10:30?
That, if that's, yeah, I mean,
That's when he's supposed to be calling?
well, we're gonna call him. I've got a number to reach him. And I think that was what he listed in his email this morning was, I'll be expecting your call around 10:30. So,
Yeah, because I can make, I mean, yeah, if we go in there at 10:30 and then for 30 minutes, you said?
Yep.
So come out at 11, yeah. I'd be in favor of that. I'd make, what's the motion to be? Who's it need to, or what's it need to say, David?
Executive session for legal advice.
yeah, so what I had was just our standard language on the attorney-client relationship pursuant to consultation with an attorney, exception listed in KSA 75-4319B2. And it would be with the commission, clerk, counselor, and Forest Rhodes, an attorney from Folston Siefkin.
I'll make that motion that we go in there and with what he stated at 10:30 for 30 minutes, coming out at 11 o'clock.
Okay, I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session starting at 10:30 for 30 minutes, coming out at 11 o'clock. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Aaron, did you have something quick?
Real quick. Just a reminder about planning and zoning's workshop tonight with Mr. Kaup at 6 o'clock from 6 to 9. Also, reminder that planning and zoning is waiting for a letter from the Board of County Commissioners on sending that rock quarry back for review.
Okay.
Is there, and while we're talking about this, is there anything we need to do on the whole Zoom thing to get that thing rolling? And, I mean, do we need to, what do we need to do there? Do you,
I'll get with Chris this afternoon and find out what all he's got to do to set that up.
is that something you present tonight and let them know or is it going to be, I guess that's something we can talk about tonight? Explain to them kind of like the policy and how we want it to work and move forward with the Zoom thing? Because right now, are you using Zoom?
No, not at all. Chris has got to get that finished setting up. And I spoke to him last week and he said that he was working on it. So I can definitely have an answer for you when he'll have all that done next week.
So what we had in this neat notice for special meeting was to attend training provided for the commission and the planning commission by James Kaup concerning planning and zoning regulations. The commission will not take any action during this special meeting.
So that's the only thing we can talk about then?
Can't talk about anything, really just attend the.
Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah.
And also I'm out tomorrow and Thursday. I'll be in Lawrence at a planning and zoning conference.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
All right. 2 minutes for.
Yeah, by the time we can get in there and set up, I think it'll be time to start it probably.
Okay. Okay, we have no action from executive session. Do we have anything else that we need to attend to today? David?
So I'll just let you know, next week is my clerk's conference, so I will be out most of the week.
Okay.
Thursday is the SEK officials meeting at Burlington. And then I have K-Camp meeting next day, so I'll be out Thursday and Friday and then most of next week. So I'm not gonna be around a whole lot.
Thursday this week or next?
This week is the, yeah.
What time's that?
Let me find the email.
I can find it. I got it there.
Okay.
I got it. I'll
Okay.
find it.
Anything else for today?
I don't have anything.
Jim?
Oh, man.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Moved and second to adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Registration's 8:30 to 10.
How was the conference last week?
Pretty good.
30 to 10.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Give that down.
Meeting will actually start in a man.
You learn anything?
I missed one.
Barbara, did you get my name?
I got
Wasn't that scattered around? They said they had, I remember.
Yeah, they're
driving
gonna meet at
with their-
Kelly Hall.
Right.
I can send that notice back out to you guys.
Might have to send it to me if you do. I skip one.
Yeah.